In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to model an arch. I'm going to use a combination of both spline modeling as well as edit poly techniques. So you'll notice I have a front view as well as a side. The side, all I'm going to use this for is the overall thickness of the arch. That's why it's not a proper side view of the arch itself. So I'm going to go to create, and here in the front I'm going to make a cylinder. In this case I'm just going to click and drag and release. Now let's move that up. Maybe let's maximize the viewport, zoom in a little bit. And I kind of want to match the general shape. I want lines that are right here, and I want it to kind of come up and sort of match. This looks pretty good. So let's see, let's double check. I want to make sure this cylinder is centered. Alright, and then let's go and check its radius. If I put it to 80, I think that'll be even better. There we go. Take that out, and then let's take a look here. There's the center of it. So this thing could probably be, just a little bit shorter to kind of match that general thickness there. And let's reduce the number of height segments down to 1. Alright, let's take this guy, convert to edit poly. And what I'm going to do here is just come in, click and drag. I'm going to get everything on the bottom as well as the front and the back, because all I want at the moment is just these sides here. I'm going to select all of them, and over here under edit polygon, I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to click on that and change this to local normal. I'm just going to extrude that out and click OK. Alright, so we're off to a good start here. Let's go ahead and let's make this a little bit more arch-like. I'm going to grab these rows on the top, but I'm going to align those along Y. I'm going to grab these on the side here, align those on X, and drag those over. Okay. Well, we get our guys here. There we go. I got too much. Right. Make it planar along X and drag it over. From here, what I can do is if I grab this vertice, I'm going to copy its height value. So I can grab the sides and line those up at the same height value. And then I could just orbit around, grab those polygons that are on the bottom, and I'm just going to extrude those down. I'll extrude them a little bit. Let's drag them down the rest of the way, and they're going to need to come to about here. Let's grab the vertex points. So if I'm looking from the top, the ones that go furthest down, if I just click on one of those, it's at negative 61.72. So why don't we just copy that value, and I'm going to grab all these points that make up this top row, and I'm going to paste in that same value but change it to positive. So now we have the proper thickness. You'll notice we're kind of missing polygons in the inside. Why don't we go to display, find display properties, and turn on backface cull. If I go back to modify to edge, what I can do is I can go bridge these edges. I'll show you a shortcut. If I click and grab the border, let's maximize this view. And I'm going to change the color of this to something that's a little easier to tell what I'm working on. There we go. Alright. So I went to border and I clicked, and that got all those edges. If I switch here to wireframe, you can see. So I'm going to hold control and click on edge, and I'm just going to deselect. Oops, what happened? Let's go back to border. We'll hold control and click on edge. There we go. Now if I hold alt and click on this edge, and then orbit around to the other side and hold alt and get rid of that edge, I now have two separate selection groups of edges here, and now I can actually bridge those together, but that's only because I deselected those edges on the bottom. Alright, there we go. So our arch is off to a really great start. So this is kind of constituting the main body of our arch. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to come here and let's take a look at it from the top. I'm going to come over here to Shapes, Rectangle. I'm going to click and drag because I want to kind of match the general outline. Let's switch to Move now and just zero that out. And if I maximize the front viewport, I'm going to go ahead and build the profile. All right, so let's select the arch, right click, and hide selected. So now I can come in here, and with my shapes, I'm just going to kind of block in the shape of this. And I'm going to go through and attach all of these together once I have the shape that I want. Something that kind of matches the overall shape that I should be going for with this arch. Alright, I think that's probably looking pretty good. Let's select one of these, convert it to an edit spline, and then I need to jump into attach and just start attaching everything together. Alright, so as I get all these different pieces and they're all attached, then we can go into spline, select one of them, and if we scrub through here under geometry, we want to go to Boolean, and we're going to use union. And so we'll just go through and start combining all of these different pieces together to make our object. So, alright, so if I go to segment, I'm going to delete the top, and then everything that makes up the back side of this, as well as the bottom, because I'm going to use this as a bevel profile. So let's go into Vertex, right click on them and convert them all over to corners, and then we can refine it a little bit. Kind of adjust the shape slightly here. And just some minor tweaking that we're going to do. There we go. I think we're probably in fairly good shape at this point. Yep, I think we're looking good here. I'm going to bring this guy in a little bit, get a little bit of an angle. Okay. So now I have my profile, and if I restore my viewport, I can select that shape that makes up the top, and I'm going to go ahead and put a bevel profile modifier on here. I'm going to change the parameters. I'm going to switch to classic and then pick my profile, and there you go. That creates that geometry for me. I can raise that up. Let's right click and unhide all, and let's zoom out. And we'll just kind of lower this guy into position. So it looks like it's kind of not quite fitting on there perfectly. Let's select our arch here, and we're just going to put a symmetry modifier on there. There we go. That's going to mirror it right to left. And now I can take a look at my overall shape here on the side. What is this thing? Let's delete that. I don't know what that is. There we go. So now I have this shape. Let's grab our arch, and I'm just going to go into element, click on that, and I'm just going to scale that in just a little bit. And the reason I'm doing it, I'm scaling it here in element, because if I do it there, then the object itself doesn't end up with any weird scale. Alright, so we're off to a really good shape. We've got some nice forms going here. I can select the main body, click on this, and say, let's find polygon smoothing groups. I'm going to auto smooth that. There we go. Alright, let's do this. I'm going to right click on my arch, say object properties, and I'm going to change its visibility to 0.1 so I could see through it. I kind of want to build this outer shape here with a spline as well. So what I'm going to do in this case, let's go in and let's just, first I'm going to make the profile. So I'm going to click and drag to kind of define it. And it gets a little bit tricky. You got to kind of figure out what's the actual, what are the shapes we want to get out of this. Alright, that's pretty good. Grab one of these, convert to edit spline. Let's just attach them together. And it's going to be just like we did before, where we go into spline here, and we find Boolean, and we're going to Boolean them all together, just like that. And then we go into segment, delete those edges we don't want, and then I kind of want this to be one continuous section, so I'm going to delete those extra verts. Let's right click and say corner. There we go. The rest of this looks pretty good. I might slide this out just a little bit to get a little bit of an angle on there. Move this out so it matches the body. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good. Let's get a rectangle that's going to match the size of this kind of footprint. So if we come out here, we can kind of see where that is right here. So let's just click and drag, kind of define that. Hopefully that's about right. Let's drag that up. That does not look correct at all. So let's move this over, and I think, what's our short value here? Our short value is 110. So why don't we take that 110 and, oops, make that same 110 value for both. And now if I come in here and do a bevel profile, switch it to classic, and then pick my profile, you see what happens is it comes in and it looks like it's inside out. So let's do this. I'm going to go to Profile Gizmo and switch to Wireframe here. And I'm going to go to Rotate, and my Angle Snap is on, and let's just rotate this 180 degrees. All right, so here we go. We're going to rotate it 180. That doesn't do it either. We'll undo that. I think what I need to do is just rotate it 90. No. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think I might have had the 180 earlier. So if you look here, you can see the 180 at the bottom, and that fixed it. I can just drag this profile gizmo out, view it. There we go. I think we're looking pretty good at this point. Well, let's try and center this a little bit, and then we'll maybe bring that profile gizmo in just a little bit. There we go. I think that's looking better. All right, I think we're looking good here. Let's do this. I'm going to go into create. I want to make a box. The keyboard entry 100, 100. Oops, 100. Make sure those are all. And hit create. And then I'm going to right click and say convert to edit poly. And I'm going to attach all of these different pieces together. Go to element, select and delete. So now I think we're starting to look pretty good. If I put a symmetry on, that'll mirror that over to the other side. So we're off to really great shape here. Let's do another part. We're going to right click and just say hide selected here. We want to get this shape for the arch going, and we're going to actually do that with geometry. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and let's just create what this would be. We're going to use a technique called sweep. And so I'm going to come in. I want to imagine what the shape of this is from the side, right? So it's about this long, and then we have a little bit of a bump up here at the top. And so if I right click on this shape, I say convert to edit spline and attach the other one, I can now come in and in spline mode, select the main one, go down to Boolean those together. Let's take these 2 points and weld those together. Oops. Just gonna delete that one. Grab all these and make them corners. And then I can take this edge here, and I'm actually going to chamfer that a little bit. And I'm going to chamfer these edges as well. So let's chamfer those a little. It's looking pretty good. Let's actually delete that one. Oops. Just chamfer this just a little bit. That's good. I like how those are looking. We'll right click and say corner. All right. So now we have kind of the outer, kind of the overall form of it. So let's, if we unhide everything, let's move that shape over to the side. Okay. What I need to do is I need to get a spline that kind of matches this. So let's do this. Let's make a circle. And then I'm going to make sure that circle's centered here in the world. There we go. Now I'm going to convert it to an edit spline. And in segment mode, delete the edges off the bottom. And now let's move that down so it's kind of sitting here lining up with the side. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to use a different modifier. This time we're going to throw a sweep on it. Keep going down. Sweep. And now I can pick a custom selection. So if I pick that selection I just made, there it is. All right. So there I have my overall shape. There's my sweep. And so let's change our sweep parameters. I want to change the X offset, just set it to 0 so it's sitting perfectly on there. Now if you orbit, oops, if you orbit around, you can kind of see that shape that I made. So let's get creative with this. I want to actually make this a little bit, I want to increase the length that it has, so it's kind of poking in there a little bit more. See? So it's starting to look nice. It's got nice form to it. Let's put that at the top level. And now on this guy, I think he's looking really good. So I'm actually going to convert him. Before we do anything, I'm going to click Generate Mapping Coordinates. And now I'm going to right click and convert that to an Edit Poly. From here, we'll just grab our vertex points. And in the front, just grab these edges. I'm going to align those along Y. There we go. All right, top level, select this. We'll make this transparent. One. Okay. Now I just need to get this shape right here. And so, you know, as I look at this, I see where I went wrong. And my arch isn't actually the right size. So let's go back. We're going to undo a couple things. There we go. Okay. So now I can take this and see how I can adjust actually my X offset. If I come and I adjust my X offset, I can move this so it's actually sitting out where it needs to be, which is really nice. And now from there I can right click and convert to Edit Poly. Now I can grab the vertex points, vertex points, and I can align them along, I believe, the Y axis. Yep, there we go. Perfect. All right, let's get these little columns in here. So we're going to do this similar to before, where we're going to kind of block in that shape with splines. So there's, let's do it over here on the right. So it's got a little capital, and then a little support right there. It's going to come down some, a little bit more, and then the piece that kind of holds it all together. Perfect. And we're just going to right click on that and convert it to an Edit Spline. And once again, use our attach to attach those different pieces together. And then in Spline, we'll select the main body in Boolean, and we're going to Boolean them all together. Oops. Looks like it deselected, so we'll just go back to Boolean, click on those. So here's what's happening. When I go to click Boolean on this piece, the segments at the top were right on top of each other, and so it wasn't working. But once I removed those, then it started to work perfectly. All right, let's go into segment and get rid of the sides there. This guy, let's grab all of them, send them to corner. These verts got to come in a little bit more. This needs to come down some. And these guys definitely need to come over. There's shape there, but it's very subtle. So let's bring that in more. There we go. Okay. I think we're looking pretty good. Let's take a look here. What I'm going to do in this case, let's make a rectangle. I'm going to make it right here to kind of match what that shape should be. That's about right. Why don't we square that off? We'll just put this to 22 and 22. All right. And now I'm going to right click and say rotate. And down here at the very bottom, I'm just going to make sure this is all the rotate values are set to 0. And then move it down. And I can see how it kind of matches with my edging. It's not quite the right size, but we'll give this a shot. Let's put a bevel profile on this. And switch to classic. And pick that profile. And there we go. There's kind of the top of this thing. So I can raise that up and make sure that sits nicely on there. You know, I think I might want to come in with my profile gizmo. Just kind of push that out, make that a little bit bigger. That's nice. There we go. I think that's looking really good there. So now we got that nice shape. If we orbit around, we can kind of see it sitting on there. Let's go ahead. I'm going to right click and convert to Edit Poly. And if I come over here, and if I grab this base, I'm just going to do a little inset on it. 1 unit is fine. and then I'm just going to extrude that down, go with the default, and then here in the front, I'm just going to drag that all the way down so that kind of sits on top of my column there. So let's take a look at this guy. Object properties, go to 1, okay, zoom out, take a look at this. Alright, we're looking to be in pretty good shape here. We can go ahead and attach. So I want to make sure I have my arch selected, and I'm going to click attach on those different pieces. You can see them come together. Looks like this guy's kind of poking out here on the bottom. So I want to grab both of these and be sure that I'm just on y-axis and slide them in. There we go. So it looks like maybe my base needs to be a little thicker. So I'm going to go into scale, and on Y and X just kind of scale that out just a little bit there. There we go. That's looking good. All right, and then to get it onto the other sides, I'm going to come up here to modify. I'm going to use my symmetry to go positive X to negative X. I'm going to do symmetry one more time and change the axis to Y and just flip it. Let's see how we're using symmetry to get those shapes in there. So right click, convert to edit poly,